What's up, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. That's what I'm gonna call it. Let's talk about it. And so today is the first installment of this series where we're just literally gonna talk about every step. I'm just gonna give you what I know, what I've learned, what I've experienced. I'm not an expert. I don't even call myself a makeup artist, but I do love makeup, and I have made a whole bunch of mistakes, so therefore I can tell you what it is that I did wrong. I do feel like that. So this is episode number 1. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So today's first video is going to talk about the brows. Yes, the brows. I'm going to talk about brows, mistakes that I've seen that I think are mistakes, because some people think that it's perfectly fine. And you know what? In my opinion, it's not. But it's just an opinion. You know, I know people get upset about opinions. It really grinds their gears. Ooh, oh my God, an opinion. Can we just talk about it? All right, but anywho, first I'm gonna start off just by letting you guys know how I do my brows. I am gonna insert a clip of me doing my brows so you can see it while I speak on it. Let's get into that. The first thing that I do is actually take some alcohol and I put it on a cotton ball and I run it through my brows. The reason I do this is because since I have combination skin, I'm oily all up in the brows, the forehead, nose, sides of my nose, upper lip, and chin. Oily places for me. Those are my oily places. So I run alcohol through my brows because I don't want my brows to disappear throughout the day. And so that gets rid of excess dirt and oil, and it makes my brows last all day. You know what I'm saying? Like if I were to go in with a moisturizer and prime my face, unless I use my Becca Evermatte and Poreless, my brows are going to slide off because the oils are coming through. So something that has to keep oil from coming through is what has to go on my brows. And so the brow product that I've been using and that I really love is the MILANI brow pencil. And it's really good. The shade is perfect. And so I use that and I start by drawing a faint line on the bottom of my brow. And so I basically, brows are something, and my brows are sparse. So to all the sparse brow girls, this brow product is actually really good. The shade is perfect. It's not too dark and it's not too light. It shows up just right. So I start with that line very faint and I draw a line on the bottom of the brow. Now, when you say bottom of the brow, this is where the hairs in your brow, the one that is the lowest, I'm talking about, because sometimes your brow hair can be uneven and it's not perfect. That's why we fill them in, to get them as, best as we can. You put that and you fill it in. You fill your brow in. Now, there are some people whose brows are so sparse they actually have to create a brow. Now, I joke about that and I say that about myself because I really don't have long, thick brow hairs. But I do have a brow that I at least, or a shape that I can at least follow. I have a decent amount of hairs where I can get a decent brow out of it. You know what I'm saying? So I draw that on the bottom and then I go to the top, but I do not start my top line at the front of my brow. I started toward the tail and then I work my way toward the middle. But what I don't necessarily want for me, I don't want a line to be at the beginning of the top of my brow. I don't. So I put that there and I make those lines connect to create the tail. And so after that, I fill that in and I color that on in. Color it in, fill in the lines. Fill it in. And so after I do that, I do it lightly. What you don't want to do is have a heavy hand with brows. Brows are not, it's not the darker the brow, the better the brow. I don't know why there are some people who actually think it's not. So I fill that in faintly because you have to understand, and now we're going to get into carving out the brow. And you have to understand when you go into carving out your brow, the contrast of the product you use to carve out your brow is now going to make your brow pop even more. So there's no need for you to darken your brow as dark as you can get it. And then take a lighter product to carve it out when it's already going to make it lighter because of the contrast of the brow to the concealer or whatever product you're using. There is no need for that. It's going to do its job. Let the concealer or whatever product you're using do its job. That's why we do it, so it can make it pop. So why make it even darker? And then the pop is too serious. It's too much pop. what I'm using to carve out the bottom of my brow is the MILANI concealer. I use the shade 165 Deep Tan, and I'm taking that concealer and I'm using a Morphe 213 brush. It is extremely small, extremely precise. I love this. I'm so happy I have this brush. I'll recommend this brush for anyone, everyone needs to get this brush. This brush is bomb and it's perfect to carve out the brows. I mean, what a great creation. Shout out to Morphe. Now, I take my lighter concealer. You won't see a lot of people do this. I do it because I trust the blending process. But a lot of people don't take their lighter concealer to the front of their brow. They don't. But I do, because I like for the bottom of my brow at least to pop. And it especially looks good when I do an eyeshadow look. It looks really nice. So I take that, I start at the beginning of the brow, and I carve my brow out. You want to do it right under that line. It's going to take a steady hand. This will take practice. It will not be perfect for the person who doesn't usually fill in their brows. It's not realistic. We do things by muscle memory. It is what it is. Take your time, go slow. Do not rush for anyone, because it's going to be worth it when you take that picture later and the brows are popping and you're going to say, yeah, man, those 3 hours of doing my brows was worth it. After that, you take a brush. I took a brush here. It's a pencil brush, but it's very dense. So I took that and I'm going to blend the concealer around my brows. Blend the concealer around your brows. Blend the concealer. You don't, halo brows, they're never going to be okay. When you are in the club and they put that flash on and they take that photo, you don't want a halo brow. You don't. The flash is coming. The lights are going. You know. You don't want halo brows. They're never going to be cute. Never. It's never going to happen. Which is why we're taking a lighter concealer on the bottom. Now we're going to go into carving out the top of the brow. Same brush. Clean it off. I'm going to use a concealer that is close to my skin tone. This is actually the concealer that I used to conceal. Let's get something very straight here. We'll go more into this when we get into the concealer video. But concealer and highlighting concealer are two different things. Concealer is when you take something close to your skin tone and it's basically your skin tone, and you use it to cover up flaws that are on your face. Okay, that's their location. And that are blemishes, so they're a little bit darker, but you're using something that's close to your skin tone or your skin tone to conceal or cover with what is already your color. Highlighting is a little lighter. You go lighter, which is what we did on the bottom. Are we? Am I going too fast? I just want you guys to understand. So I'm taking one closer to my skin tone on the top. Do you know why? Because it will prevent the chance of me having a halo brow. I don't want a halo brow. And if you ever see a picture of me and I have halo brow, I made a mistake. And call me on it. Chanel, you got halo brow today. And I'm going to take it and be like, you know what? I sure do. So after you do that, you carve out the top just like you did the bottom. You need to know your shape. You need to understand the shape of your face. You need to understand the shape of your brow. So once you do that, you've carved that out. Now you're going to take that brush and you're going to blend it. Blend it until you barely see it. It is worth it. I know you don't feel like it. You don't want to sit there and you don't want to do that, but you need to. Okay, we will see it. So after you carve that out, you should have your brow shape. Sometimes I will take my brow pencil, and if I don't think the tail is dark enough, because I have no tail, so I put some more pencil and make sure the tail is dark enough to at least look like it matches the density of my brow hairs. And so after that, I actually take a mascara. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. I do know some other YouTubers who actually do this. But I take L'Oreal Telescopic Black Mascara. And the wand is perfect for this. So I use this to go in the front. And notice we have not touched the front of the brow. Do you know why? Because you don't want all that at the front of your brow. How is that supposed to blend? How? Unless you furiously take your spoolie and do it. But why do that? Why put yourself through that? Why? Just don't, barely put any product there. And so you take your mascara, you run it through your brows, you lift those brows up. And mascara is designed for your lashes to make them stay and keep pigment there. Allow them to be thicker, longer, more voluminous. That's the same thing you would want for your brow, right? Your brow hairs, yeah? So use mascara on your brows too. It's just hair growing out of your face. It's the same thing. So you use it. And I put that in there, and that's what gives me that furry look in the front. You see them, they have the hairs here and all through your brow where your hairs are. and you should have a great brow. And that is how I create my brow. Now let's get into some other things. Let's get into some don'ts. Let's talk about it. Okay, don't number one. Don't use a shade that is too dark for you. Don't. It's better to have a shade that might be too light, because when you carve it out, the contrast will work and it will give you at least a little bit of pigment in your brow. But it's better to have a lighter brow than to have too dark of a brow. I don't care what anybody says. You see me? Look, let's use me an example, since I'm the one speaking. And you can look at me. I'm very dark skinned. Okay, I have very dark hair. It's basically black, okay? But that does not mean that I'm using the shade black in my brows. No. I'm using a dark brown. Do you know why? Because when I carve out my brows, it will give the illusion of the brow matching my hair. Trust the reason why we use concealer to carve out our brows. It's to clean them, define them, and allow the brows to actually pop. Light next to dark makes the light look lighter and the dark look darker. Trust the reasons. That's why we do it. Don't try to put another person's brow on you. Your face is shaped different. Your eyes are shaped different. Your forehead is a different size. It will not happen. I'm sorry. We need to be going with the shape that the Lord gave us. It will look the best on you. That's why he gave it to you. You can maneuver shape all the time. You can fill your brows, cover them laying down. But when you're talking about a daily brow, like you want to do your brows, and just follow your own brow shape. It's on you for a reason. It will fit your face. It's the way you look, and it's okay. Let me give you an example. You guys have probably seen this, and I recently saw this actually. Brows here. And I've seen lots of ladies and gentlemen bring the brow down, and it literally follows and matches the line of the end of their eye. So they bring their brow here, and the brow comes down. I've never seen anyone's natural brows come down and literally align with their eye line, like a C, the C-shaped brow. I don't think it's nice. Comment down below if you think it's nice. If you think that when you put your hand out here, your brow should align with you. But this is the thing. This is the thing about opinions. If you think it looks good on you and you're confident in your brow, you put that C right on here and you walk in confidence. Who am I? Who am I? Okay, who am I to say? You like your C. Take your C. Take your C. And go walk these streets in confidence. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one, where we will get into what? Foundation. So we're going to talk about foundation next. And that should be a good one. But I love y'all. And I will see y'all in my next video. Peace.